Good morning, dear children. Welcome back to your geography classes. I am Mrs. Roshni Nair and I will be starting second unit test portion from today. As you all know, we have successfully finished our first term portion and exams are also over. So from today onwards, we will be doing second term. In that, first part is our unit test. Before going further, let us first see what are the portions for second unit test. So for second unit test, we have one chapter, that is Asia, Climate and Natural Vegetation. This chapter is chapter 8 in our geography textbook and the page number is 105. So today onwards, we will be doing Asia, Climate and Natural Vegetation. Today is my first video. I will be taking 3 videos on Asia, and part 1, that is today's video, is general introduction about the climate and natural vegetation of Asia. So this is only my introductory video. Now before I start my session, I would like you all to mark the headings which we are going to cover in this chapter. So as we all know, according to new guidelines from the council, few headings are cut out. So I will tell you the headings which are there for the unit test from this chapter, and after completing the portions which is there, I will call out the portions which you are supposed to score out. I will tell you the page numbers also. So let us start. First heading is climate. You can open your textbook, page number 105, chapter 8, Asia, Climate and Natural Vegetation. And theme, we are continuing with the theme Asia, the largest continent. So in this chapter, first heading in page number 105 is climate, which we are doing. Under climate, we have summer conditions and winter conditions. Second heading is types of climate. Under this, the main headings which we are going to cover is from page 107, we will be doing equatorial climate. From page number 108, we are going to do tropical monsoon climate. Now remember that under equatorial climate, there is continued heading natural vegetation and wildlife, which is related to equatorial climate, and next heading tropical monsoon and climate. Also you have subheading natural vegetation and wildlife of tropical monsoon climate region. And third type of climate which we will study is tropical or hot desert climate, page number 109. Under that also we have natural vegetation and wildlife, page number 110. Fourth heading is temperate grassland and or steppe climate, page number 111. Okay, temperate grassland or steppe climate from page number 111, natural vegetation and wildlife of that region. Then we have cold temperate climate from page number 112, and also natural vegetation and wildlife of that region or that type of climate. Then we have last Arctic climate. So from this chapter we will be learning till Arctic climate and the natural vegetation and wildlife of that particular region which has Arctic climate. So I hope it is clear for you all. Only these subheadings of types of climate we will be covering. There are 6 subheadings. Now the topics which you are going to score out, because that headings are not there. Page number 110, warm temperate eastern margin or China type climate is totally cancelled. Second heading, temperate or mild latitude desert climate, again page number 110, that's also cancelled. Third heading which is cancelled is from page number 111, Mediterranean climate. That is also cancelled fully. That means when we are cancelling a heading, the subheading natural vegetation and wildlife of the regions which have these climates like Mediterranean climate or China type climate are also cancelled. From page 111, one more heading, cool temperate eastern margin climate is also cancelled. Then come to page number 113. From page number 113, 2 headings, forest and mineral and power resources. Both are cancelled. I hope you understood. I'll just repeat the headings which are cancelled. From page number 110, that is 110, warm temperate eastern margin or China type climate, and the subheading natural vegetation and wildlife of this region which have China type climate is cancelled. And temperate or mid-latitude desert climate cancelled. Mediterranean climate and cool temperate eastern margin climate from page number 111 cancelled. You can score out. And from page number 113, forest and mineral and power resources are cancelled. Now, before going further and learning more about Asia climate and natural vegetation, let us just recap what we studied in our previous chapter. That is Asia, location, extent, political and physical features. So, just to recap what we studied. We studied that Asia is the largest among the world's continents and it covers approximately 30% of the Earth's land area. It is also the world's most populous continent with roughly 60% of the total population. Asia's physical geography, environment, and even population, many things we had studied in our previous chapter, the political regions, extent, all we had studied. And we also studied that Asia makes up the eastern portion of the Eurasian supercontinent and Europe occupies the western portion. We also studied that Asia's western border is Ural Mountains, the Caucasus Mountains, the Caspian and the Black Seas. Asia is bordered by Arctic Ocean, Pacific Ocean and Indian Ocean. When we studied about the mountain system, we studied Himalayan mountains, which extends separating Indian subcontinent from the rest of Asia. And we also studied that the Tian Shan mountain system, border between the Kyrgyzstan and China, the Ural mountains, north-south line from Russia to Kazakhstan, and Ural mountains are some of the world's oldest mountains. Few plateaus also we studied, and we had done map work also regarding these headings, that is Asia is home for many plateaus and the areas of relatively high ground level. Iranian plateau we studied, and the Deccan Plateau, which makes up most of the southern part of India. We also studied about Tibetan Plateau, which is considered as the largest and the highest area ever which exists in the history of Earth, and it is also known as the rooftop of the world. Now, let us start our new chapter, that is Asia, Climate and Natural Vegetation. Now, in the previous chapter, we have studied about the landforms and the drainage of Asia as a continent, and same is applicable when we are studying about any continent, country, state of any particular region. In general, we study three basic elements. So we already studied landforms and drainage. Now the third element is about the natural environment of that area. So in this chapter we will learn about climate and natural vegetation of Asia. If we take India as an example, have you ever bothered why do we wear woolen clothes in December, or why it is hot and uncomfortable in the month of May, and why it rains in June, July? The answer to all these questions can be found out by studying about the climate of India, and in this case we will study about the climate of Asia. This whole chapter we can understand about two important things, climate and also natural vegetation. Now we all know that Asia is home to many land formations. The Gobi Desert, Mount Fuji, Mount Everest, Mount Elbrus, the Tigris River, Yangtze River and Yellow River are just a few of all natural wonders of Asia. Asia has a very wide variety of climates, because we all know that the southern part of Asia is very near to equator and Tropic of Cancer passes through Asia. Asia is so big and it has some of the coldest, hottest, wettest and some of the driest places on earth. These diverse climates include the extremely cold polar north, the very hot dry desert environment of the middle and southwest, and the hot humid climate of the tropical south. The temperatures swing from over 100 degrees in some parts of Asia to below freezing in other parts. The monsoon winds affect much of Asia's climate. In winter, monsoons from the north blow into East Asia and cause cold, dry weather. The wind changes direction in summer and blows from the seas that lie south and southeast of the region, causing hot, humid weather. As I had mentioned earlier, Asia is also the world's most populous continent, with roughly 60% of the total population. Now there is a word called urban climate. Human activities, both cultural and economic, have distinct effect on climate. So one example of that is provided by the microclimates associated with cities, with large industrial complexes. The emission to those areas of quantities of dust and gases can alter temperatures and change wind patterns. Such conditions are characteristic, for example, of the Tokyo-Yokohama metropolitan area and also the industrial regions of northern Kyushu in Japan. In India, we can take example of Kolkata and the industrial area of northeastern part of peninsular India and of the industrial regions of south central Siberia. Now in this chapter, as I told, first important heading is climate. Now what do you mean by climate? Climate refers to the sum total of weather conditions and variations over a large area for a long period of time, that is more than 30 years. If you remember, in standard 7 we studied definition of climate, and also we studied that weather refers to the state of atmosphere over an area at any point of time, and the elements of weather and climate are the same, that is temperature, atmospheric pressure, wind, humidity and precipitation. In general, we say that many times we had observed that the weather conditions fluctuate very often, even within a day, right? But there is some common pattern over a few weeks or months. That is, many times days are cool or hot, windy or calm, cloudy or bright, and wet or dry. On the basis of the generalized monthly atmospheric condition, the year is divided into seasons such as winter, summer or rainy season. Same like that, even the world is divided into a number of climatic regions. And we should also know that there are 6 major controls of the climate of any place. They are latitude, altitude, pressure and wind system, distance from the sea, ocean currents and relief features. We studied this in our previous class. And we also know that due to the curvature of the earth, the amount of solar energy received varies according to the latitude, and as a result air temperature generally decreases from the equator towards the poles. As one goes from the surface of the earth to higher latitudes, the atmosphere becomes less dense and temperature decreases. The hills are therefore cooler during summers, and the pressure and wind system of any area depend upon the latitude and the altitude of that place. Right? So all this together gives us the information of climate of any region. And also relief. Relief feature too plays a major role in determining the climate of any particular region or place. High mountains act as a barriers for cold or hot winds, and they may also cause precipitation if they are high enough and lie in the path of rain-bearing winds. The leeward side of mountains remains relatively dry. That all we already studied. So we will be studying about the climate of Asia, the continent, and we all know it is Asia continent is wide, so the distribution pattern of precipitation throughout the year is varied, and we can say relatively uniform moisture is characteristic of the Asian equatorial zone. Maximum summer precipitation and minimum winter precipitation are the rule in the sub-equatorial zones and in other regions with monsoon climates, as well as those areas where there is summer movement of the fronts and the polar front in the mountains of southern Siberia and the Arctic front in the subarctic regions, right? So that was about climate. Now coming to natural vegetation. Before we start natural vegetation, let me inform you about the factors that affect the climate of Asia. There are around 5 factors. First one is size and latitudinal extent. We all know the size and latitudinal extent is maximum. Distance from the sea. Then relief feature. Fourth one is wind. Fifth is ocean currents. So Asia is the largest continent with a large east-west extent, and also Asia stretches across the 3 zones of Earth. You remember the heat zones of Earth? Asia stretches across the torrid zone, the temperate zone, and the frigid zone. Now coming to natural vegetation. Have you observed the type of trees, bushes, grasses, and birds in the fields and parks in and around your school? Are they similar or there are variations? Now, when we take India as an example, India being a vast country, we can imagine the type of bioforms which are available throughout the country, right? Now, the natural vegetation in general refers to a plant community which has grown naturally without human aid and has been left undisturbed by humans for a long time. The term flora and fauna is also related to natural vegetation. The term flora is used to denote plants of a particular region or period. Similarly, the species of animals are referred to as fauna, and this huge diversity in flora and fauna kingdom is due to the factors like relief factors which include land and soil of that particular area, the climate conditions like temperature and photoperiod. What do you mean by photoperiod? The sunlight, the variation in duration of sunlight at different places. Again, it is due to the difference in latitude and altitude, even because of season and duration of the day. Maybe due to longer duration of sunlight, trees grow faster in summer, right? And conditions like precipitation are the factors which leads to huge diversity in flora and fauna. So we will also be learning about the natural vegetation in this chapter. And under climate heading, we will be learning two conditions, summer condition and winter condition. In detail, we will learn. Now, when we are observing the geographic pattern of vegetation, now considering Asia as an example, you remember in previous chapter, we had studied in detail about the different political divisions. So, in short, when I am doing the political division, I can also relate the same to the geographic pattern of vegetation. So when I am talking about North and Central Asia, the natural landscape has been least affected by people in sparsely populated North Asia. We know it is near to Arctic Circle. The vast plains and continentality and the nearness of the Arctic Ocean explain the presence of zone of tundra, that is cold tolerant low-lying vegetation in an area of permafrost. What do you mean by permafrost? Perma means permanently, frost means frozen subsoil. So since it is very near to Arctic Ocean, it is cold tolerant or low-lying vegetation and also an area of permafrost, that is permanently frozen subsoil, and similar to that found in the European part of Russia and in Canada and the US state of Alaska. This is more or less similar, and because of the greater number of hours of daylight during the summer month, when the Arctic Circle region receives the same amount of light energy as the tropics, the tundra in that season is covered with bright flowers, and nevertheless climate conditions are extreme. The broad-leaved deciduous forest of western Siberia also does not extend east of the Yangtze, where it gives way to the coniferous forest of central Siberia, but it reappears in eastern Siberia. And south of the Siberian forest, we can see forest steppes with forest galleries lining the rivers. Forest steppe and the meadow steppe vegetation is predominant on the northeast or the Manchurian plain. Tibet, which is chiefly dry and cold, has a scattered vegetation. Now coming to East Asia. The monsoonal climate in East Asia brings hot and rainy summers, giving rise to a great variety of temperature, the tropical vegetation. China has the most varied vegetation of any country in the world, with about 30,000 species excluding mushrooms and mosses. About 2/3 of Japan's total area is forested. That's what the picture indicates on the screen. Whereas much of China is deforested and roughly 1/7 of China is under forest cover, we can say. Now the sizable tracts remain untouched. However, in the remote rugged regions of China and many small areas have been reforested. Now one reason for that difference between the two countries is the traditional respect the Japanese have had for their scenery and consequently the strict forestry regulations that have been promulgated and enforced. In addition, the rugged topography and inaccessibility of many of Japan's forested areas have limited the possibilities of economic exploitation. And the best example of East Asian forests therefore are found in Japan, such as in the peninsula of Honshu. Now coming to South and Southeast Asia. In short, I can say that the wettest parts of peninsular India, such as the Western Ghats, we all know, And the Southeast Asia have magnificent tropical forest, and it is important for the variety of plant lives found here in parts of peninsular India and Southeast Asia that have a seasonal monsoon climate with 4 to 8 dry months per year. Moist and dry deciduous forests thrive. Many of the tree species such as teak, sal and sandalwood are highly valuable and are heavily exploited in areas with a prolonged dry season and less precipitation, example northwestern India, the interior of Deccan Plateau, and also the dry zones of Myanmar and Burma, savanna woodland and thorny thickets of acacias and euphorbias are predominant, we can say, as natural vegetation. Now coming to West Asia. In West Asia, naturally, wild vegetation no longer occurs in clearly defined zones, but is dispersed in small areas. The region is predominantly arid. We can make out from the areas of Saudi Arabia and also Kazakhstan and all that regions, desert-like depressions such as the desert of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, the Karakum desert of Turkmenistan, and the Rab al-Khali, which is also known as empty quarter. Rab al-Khali means empty quarter of the Arabian Peninsula, contrast with the moist forested mountain regions. A dry zone except where northerly winds bring moisture to the mountains to the south and also to the Mediterranean climate along the western edges, that is near to this region, right? Now let us watch a small video to understand the climatic pattern of Asia.
Some important lines of latitude pass through Asia, indicating several heat zones in the continent. These heat zones are one of the reasons behind Asia's diverse climatic range, from hot and wet in the south to extremely cold and dry in the north. The climate of the continent also depends on other factors such as physical features and distance of a region from the sea. Asia experiences several types of climate. These are the equatorial type, the tropical monsoon type, the tropical hot desert type, the warm temperate east coast or China type, the temperate desert type, the Mediterranean type, the temperate grassland or steppe type, the cold temperate or taiga type, and the Arctic or tundra type. Let's find out more about these climates. The equatorial climate is prevalent in Malaysia and Indonesia. The weather is hot almost throughout the year, with no definite seasons. Tropical monsoon climate is found in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Cambodia, among other places. In this type of climate, summers are hot, while winters are relatively cool. The tropical hot desert type of climate is found in the Arabian Desert and in the Thar Desert region of India and Pakistan. This type of climate represents extremes of conditions with very hot summers and equally cold winters. Warm temperate East Coast or China type of climate is found in parts of central and eastern China, southern Japan, and Korea. Summers are hot and winters are mild in these regions. Temperate desert type of climate prevails in the Gobi Desert of China and the plateau of Tibet. In the temperate deserts, winters experience sub-zero temperatures while summers are hot. The Mediterranean type of climate is found mostly in West Asia, in countries such as Turkey, Syria, and Israel. In the Mediterranean type of climate, summers are hot and dry, while winters are mild and wet. Temperate grasslands or steppe type of climate occurs in areas above the Caspian Sea, such as parts of Mongolia and Russia. Here, winters are very cold and summers are hot. The taiga type of climate prevails across Siberia. Here, winters are long and very cold, and summers are short and warm. The Arctic or tundra type of climate is found in the areas beyond the Arctic Circle, mostly in the northern parts of Russia. In the tundra climate, winters are long and severely cold, and summers are quite short and cool.
I hope that video give you a general introduction to the chapter Asia, Climate and Natural Vegetation. Now, before we end up, let me inform you a quick fact about Asia. Asia has several very hot and very cold places. It also has the wettest and the driest places in the world. Mawsynram in India has an annual rainfall of about 1187 centimeters, while in the Arabian and Gobi deserts and Tibet, the rainfall is less than 25 centimeter. So, thank you, dear children. Take care of yourself and also complete the questions attached in the PDF.